Chicago Bears Now is presented by Manscaped. If you want to get the best men's grooming products on the planet, go to manscaped.com. Use promo code BEARS20. That is manscaped.com. Promo code BEARS20 to get 20% off plus free shipping. Father's Day is almost here. Perfect gifts over there at Manscaped. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. Let's get you guys caught up on the latest Bears news and rumors. Also, coming up here in a little bit, Colin Cowherd chimed in on one of my tweets after I responded to one of his tweets. We'll recap the back and forth. Is Colin right? Am I right? A little Cowherd versus Graham coming up on Bears Now, so stay tuned. We'll get to that in a moment. Also, if we want Colin Cowherd to see this and we, just poke some fun at Cowherd, I want you to share this video on Twitter and follow these steps. So you click the share icon. It's right next to the like button. Select the Twitter icon. That way you can tweet it out. Tag me at HGramNFL and Colin Cowherd in the tweet. I don't care what else you say in the tweet. But then use the hashtag BearsNow. Hashtag BearsNow after you tag both of us. Then click tweet. That sends it out. So if you're on Twitter, share this video. Let's get it over to Cowherd. And hey, who knows? Maybe he'll join the show and we can hash all of this out. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, stay tuned. We'll explain it later on in the show. All right, let's get to the news of the day, though. OTAs, no practice today because looks like the Bears broke some rules. Report that the Bears violated league rules by having, quote, live contact during some May practices. NFL found out about it and forced the Bears to cancel today's OTA practice, which means now tomorrow, which was scheduled to be an off day, will now be a practice day. That'll be the final OTA practice for the Bears. So instead of 9 practices, they get 8, but if you got some live contact practices, probably a fair trade-off at the end of the day if you are the Bears. Dan Wiederer had this note earlier. According to a league source, Bears were forced to wipe today's OTAs practice off the books after violating the offseason rules of the CBA with live contact during their May practices, which is prohibited. A misstep by the new regime. Well, Dan Wiederer can call it a misstep. I call it being a football guy and Matt Eberflus. I mean, what have we been saying since this new regime got here? These are hard-nosed football guys. Now, look, rules are rules. I get all that. Just don't do it again, right? I think you do it. You got caught. You lost to practice. All right, we're done, right? Like, no more breaking the rules. But, hey, you probably got some good practices out of it. He's setting a physical culture here. I don't completely mind going this route if you are Matt Eberflus. And I also don't think it's that big of a deal to begin with. Okay, they broke some minor rule. No big deal. Do you think it's a big deal? Because I don't. Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Is this a big deal that the Bears missed one voluntary OTA practice for violating some offseason rules? Let me know what you guys think. Y for yes or N for no. I'm just not concerned about it. Look, if you do it again, you get caught and you get in more trouble, that's a different story. Because as Adam Hogue tweeted out, and I think this is important to note, this typically comes, he says, with fines for the team and head coach. NFL, NFLPA has been cracking down. 49ers, Cowboys, Jaguars all got busted last year. Repeated violations can eventually lose draft picks. Seahawks lost a 5th-round pick in 2017. So, again, you don't want to do it again, right? Like, you do it again, you lose a pick, you got problems. But I think so far, no big deal. I'm not concerned. More importantly, who narked? And if you don't know what a narc is, that's like an undercover cop. Like, someone was snooping around. Oh, they're pushing each other. It's a physical practice. Going to report that to the league and cost the Bears a practice. Who narked? Is this a player on the team who thinks he's going to get cut? Is Matt Nagy roaming around Hallis Hall just in shambles still after getting fired? I want to know who narked on the Bears. And if you think it was Matt Nagy, type 1 for yes. If you're like, no, that's crazy, type 2 for no. Let me know. I want to know who you guys think the narc was. Maybe I'm being sarcastic. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it was Matt Nagy. Who the hell knows? Type 1 for yes. Type 2 for no. Let me know if you guys think Matt Nagy narked on the Bears OTA practices. All right, shout out to Manscaped for sponsoring today's show. Nagy doesn't use Manscaped. That's just a fact of life. But what is a 100% true fact of life, the Platinum Package, which just got launched by Manscaped, is a hell of a deal. You can get it for 20% off and free shipping with promo code BEARS20 at manscaped.com. Let me tell you what comes in this thing. The Lawnmower 4.0, which is the best men's grooming tool on the market, going to keep you nice and trimmed downstairs. The Ultra Premium Collection, which we've told you about. The shampoo, conditioner, body wash, body spray, lip balm, all comes in this Platinum Package. Travel kit, you've got the ball deodorant, ball gel, all that good stuff, and a pair of boxers thrown in there for free, all for just $123.99. Let me get a quick note for you guys. You buy all these items separately, it's over $250. So code Bears20 gets you 20% off, but you're really getting it for 50% off. I mean, it's that good of a deal. Check the comments, check the description, manscaped.com, promo code Bears20. Keep things nice and clean downstairs and use all of their men's grooming products. Let's shift over to some trade rumors. Is Deebo Samuel still on the trade block, or could he get onto the trade block? Is a trade still possible? Report today that Deebo is reporting to minicamp, but his trade request still is intact. That's according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. He says Deebo's technically back, but situation has remained mostly status quo in recent weeks. Trade request still hangs out there. Haven't heard anything about tangible progress on the contract front. 49ers have projected optimism, but clearly work to be done. So sure, Deebo's reporting, most likely to avoid some fines, but in reality, nothing has really changed, it sounds like, on his side of things. Could a Deebo trade still happen? And I'm mostly speaking just in general. Like, sure, we'll tie the Bears into it, and, you project, you get Deebo to Chicago. He's a great weapon for Justin Fields. This system could look like a Shanahan system. I get all of that. But I think this is interesting. I think the last month and a half since the draft, people are like, Deebo's not getting traded. He didn't get traded at the draft. Well, what if he doesn't want to play there? I mean, maybe he could still get traded before it's all said and done. More on this story in a moment. I'll tell you what, if the Bears trade for Deebo Samuel or make any other move, we're going to cover it with a video. If it's a Deebo trade, we'll go live. If it's something more minor, we'll just have a video out for you guys. So hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 50,000 subs by training camp. The latest Bears news, rumors, live streams, Q&As. We have you covered with all of it. YouTube.com/BearsNow. Subscribe today and smash that sub button. Now, Brad Spielberger, I think he was poking some fun. He basically said, what I'm saying is Deebo to the Bears is back on. I don't think so. But, hey, man, it's fun to think about, right? I don't think the Bears will have interest. I'm not saying they'll have interest. But I don't think Deebo could get dealt. I think that is still a possibility. I really do. If his trade request is still out there, then that tells me he's not happy. If he doesn't get a type of deal that he wants, he could get traded. Now, obviously, Deebo's a heck of a talent. There's a reason he wants to get paid because he's had some injury concerns. He put a healthy season together, put up huge numbers. Like, I want to get paid while I can. 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns receiving. Also had 8 rushing touchdowns and 365 yards on the ground as well, as Kyle Shanahan used him in a multitude of ways in that offense. And obviously in the Bears offense, he could be used in a lot of ways too. Deebo Samuel plus Darnell Mooney, that sounds like a lot of fun. It's a long shot, but hey, while his trade request is out there, it's at least still a possibility. But again, I would be surprised if the Bears entered the conversation. What do you guys think, though? You're Ryan Poles. You hold all the power. Should the Bears trade for Deebo Samuel? Type T for trade, type P for pass. Probably going to pass unless the trade value goes down for some reason, but hey, he's a hell of a player. Maybe it could be a midseason trade if the Niners struggle for some reason and the Bears are really good for some reason. I don't really necessarily think those two things will happen, but you never know. Still a possibility. T for trade, P for pass. All right, let's talk about this whole back and forth with Colin Cowherd that I had yesterday. We'll kind of run through the timeline of this. And let me just prelude this with, this is not that big of a deal. But it's fun, it's entertaining. Cowherd's a big national voice. So, I thought I'd bring this to the table to you guys. And considering he replied to me, I thought we would break that down as well. Here's what he tweeted out, and quite frankly, I don't know why he brought the Bears into this. So after Aaron Donald signed, tweeted this: Rams regularly hit on later round draft picks so they can afford a massive Aaron Donald contract extension, along with many others. Chicago Bears don't and can't afford Allen Robinson or Khalil Mack. Dominance starts upstairs. Basically, he's talking about the front office and NFL organizations. It's third. So I replied with a couple of quote tweets because I disagreed with some of what he was saying. I said the Bears could afford Allen Robinson. Both sides decided to move on. He signed for, $15-16 million a year with the Rams? The Bears could have paid that easily if they wanted to and if he wanted to be back. I don't think either side wanted that. Number 2, the Bears also traded Khalil Mack. They could have kept him. They could have afforded to. They only saved like $4 or $5 million this year to trade Khalil Mack. Ryan Poles wanted to get another premium draft pick, and he's trying to get this team younger. And then I added, obviously, Ryan Pace. Go back to that one real quick, producer Jack. I added, obviously, Ryan Pace and the Bears' prior regime made many mistakes, But these narratives that Cowherd said are simply false. They could have kept Allen Robinson and Khalil Mack if they wanted to. Next tweet. I added this. Also, I meant to say I'll say this. I autocorrect or something. Maybe I meant to say I'll add this. I'm not sure. If there's one thing Ryan Pace did well, it was hit on day 3 draft picks, an area of strength of his. I think that's true. I'll outline that in a second. Colin Cowherd, he had no area of strength. I disagree. You don't hold a GM job for that long if you don't do some things well. So I pointed this out to him. I replied. I said, look, believe me, I was on the fire Ryan Trace Payne quickly, but he actually did make some good moves on day 3 of the draft. Darnell Mooney, Khalil Herbert, Travis Gibson, Bilal Nichols, Tariq Cohen, Nick Kwiatkowski, Adrian Amos, all day 3 picks. I didn't even mention Eddie Jackson, who's arguably been one of the best day 3 picks in the last 5 or 6 years. Obviously, the last couple of years haven't gone great, but he's had a nice career. I added, overall, I would say he stunk and failed. He couldn't figure out the quarterback, obviously, but look, I like Cowherd. He's entertaining. I think for a national media head, he actually does a good job. He has a segment called Where Colin Was Wrong. But this was a lazy take, and this is where Colin was wrong. That's just not doing a lot of research. But Colin, you're wrong on this one, and that's okay. I'm not saying Ryan Pace didn't deserve to get fired and that he was a good GM. I'm not saying that. But day 3 of the draft actually did do pretty well. At the end of the day, I just pointed out the number of contributors and starters that Pace found on day 3 of the draft. So it is what it is. I also added this. I said, should Colin Cowherd join Bears now to talk to the Bears about the Bears for 15 to 20 minutes? Open invite, bear down. We'll see. No reply after that one. Don't expect much from Cowherd. I'm sure he gets lit up in his mentions all the time, but I wanted to correct him a little bit, if you will. We're all right, we're all wrong sometimes, and quite frankly, this is where Colin was wrong. What do you guys think? Should Colin Cowherd join Bears now for a segment? Like this video if you think so. Hit that thumbs up icon. We can hash this out, talk about the Bears. And by the way, Cowherd, I think where a lot of this is stemming from, he's a big Matt Nagy supporter. Him and Nagy are buddies. They get along, and he defended Nagy a lot through the Pace era. So I think that's weighing a little bit here on that tweet as well. Like the video if you think that Cowherd should join Bears now. And quick reminder, share this video, share button, select the Twitter icon, tag Cowherd and myself, use the hashtag Bears Now. Maybe add something like, hey, join Harrison on Bears Now. Send out the tweet, and who knows? You never know. Maybe we could get him on in the future, but he's a busy man, and I certainly understand all of that. All right, a couple more quick stories, then we'll wrap it up here on this segment. Bears vs. Seahawks preseason game is going to be on ESPN. They're one national TV game, and is going to be on ESPN, so that's their second preseason game. They open with the Chiefs, then they got the Seahawks, and I don't even know who the third game is against. Browns on the road, but that Seahawks game will be nationally televised on ESPN. And real quick, want to know who's going to a Bears game this year? Type me if you are. If you're not saying, I'm not going this year, or I'm going to try to go in the future or whatever, but spam me in the chat if you are going to get to go to a Bears game this year. And yes, preseason counts. That completely counts. All right, final story here. Akiem Hicks. Did he take a shot at the Bears today? Maybe. Kind of hard to tell. I'd hate to think that he's bitter, but I do think at the end of last year he was a little bitter, at least at the last regime. Here's what Akiem Hicks had to say today, being introduced at Bucs minicamp. When I came into the league, I had Drew Brees and Tom Brady as my first 2 quarterbacks, and then I went to Chicago. It wasn't Drew Brees and Tom Brady. I feel spoiled to have somebody on the other side of that bank that can deliver all the time. Shrug emoji from me. What do you want me to say? He's not lying. He's had Drew Brees for his first 4 years, got traded midseason to the Patriots, had Tom Brady. Then he had, Mike Glennon, Trubisky, Foles, the list goes on and on. Yeah, he didn't have an elite offense and quarterback on the other side. Felt like he did his part and the offense couldn't deliver. He's not wrong. Also did confirm that he and the Bears did not have talks about a potential re-signing, so that can be put to rest. It's not like either side had interest in a reunion. It is what it is. I wish Akiem Hicks the best. I hope when he retires, he thinks highly of the Bears and what the Bears did for him and vice versa, and maybe he'll retire a Bear. We'll have to wait and see. All right, that's going to do it for today's segment of Bears News and Rumors. Hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/BearsNow, and join us for more videos here on the channel.